Hey, this is Toby. So in today's video, we continue to code our very simple candlestick pattern EA in mql5. Okay, let's go. Okay, so as I said, this is the second part of this little coding series. If you have not watched the first part, where I also explained the strategy idea in more detail, I will link the video up here. Before we start coding, I just did a post on YouTube recently about the color theme you prefer for the coding videos. So here are the results. So we got 140 votes, and the majority of people prefer the dark background for the coding videos. I'm sorry for the 50 people who prefer the white background, but yeah, I think it's just a matter of getting used to it. And in the long run, I think it's better for your eyes. And I also use the dark background when I code for my own EAs. And yes, I do like my own comments and posts. So another thing I want to tell you, I just set up Visual Studio Code for mql5. So if this is something you are interested in, to use Visual Studio Code for your coding projects, yeah, I will make a video about this. So just let me know in the comments. Okay, so now we can continue to code our EA here in the meta editor. Okay, so now let's continue to code. I think we left off here at the inputs for condition 1 in the last video. So let's just copy this section because I want to create another condition and all the inputs for condition 2. So let's rename this to condition 2 and also all these input variables here. Condition 2, 2, like this. Yeah, I think also we should set the default value here of this condition 1 to true. So by default, we just have condition 1 active and the second condition is false. Of course, later we can add more conditions here, maybe 4 or 5, to even test more complex candlestick patterns. But for now, let's just leave it at 2 and let's compile. Always compile when I say, because yeah, just make sure you have no warning, no error, so you don't end up with a lot of mistakes when you finished your EA. Okay, so that's it for the inputs for now. Also, some of you asked if I can increase the font size, and of course I can do this. So maybe it's easier to read, but sometimes I just like to see a lot of code on the screen, but for now it's fine. And yeah, the next step would be now to link the inputs here or map the inputs to our condition array, which we created here in the global variables section. So let's do this. So we go to the onTick function here, because this will be the first thing we do here in the onTick. And let's just write a comment, set inputs, and also just note that we need to do this before we check the inputs. So before we check inputs, we will use a custom function for this called set inputs with no parameters, and also add a semicolon. And that's all we need to do here in the OnInit for the set input function. And let's go all the way down. After the onTick, we can create a new comment section. And also some of you guys suggested that I can just press Control and point or dot. Yeah, very nice. Thank you. To create a new comment section. So let's call this custom functions. And here we can write our set input function. So type will be void, so no return type. Set inputs. This has to be the same name. Set inputs here. And of course, no parameters. We open up the body, close it again. And now we should be able to compile. So if I press compile, we can see everything is fine. So let's write the code here in the set input function. So all we have to do here is to link every input of the conditions here to our conditions array. So let's just write a comment for condition 1. And let's just use our condition array, which is a global variable. So we can use it here. Condition, and now the index 0. And now dot and active for the first member of this structure. And yeah, we can set this to our input for condition 1 active. And now we just do this for all the other members. Let me just scroll up, and you don't have to do this. I will just copy this here to see all the members. So the next one would be again condition 0 and dot mode. So mode A. Let's also set this to input condition 1 mode A. Okay, let's copy this a few times like this. So mode, next one would be index index A. Also here condition 1 index A. Next one here is this comparison. So comp and condition 1 compare. Next one, the mode B. So let's just change this to B. Condition 1 mode B. Here the index B. Index B, and the last one here is the value. So condition 0 value, and also here our value input parameter. So now we can see all the inputs are now stored in our condition array. So condition 1 is stored at the index 0 in the condition array. And of course, we have another index here in our condition array. We have the second condition. So we also need to do this for the second condition, condition 2. And now we have to change the index here, of course, to 1. Yeah, the index always starts at 0. And because we have two conditions, we have index 0 and index 1. But this index 1 is the second condition. And also we need to change, of course, here the inputs to condition 2. And here 2. Yeah, just change everything to condition 2. Okay, so I think that's already it for the set inputs function. So now we have all our inputs ready in our condition array. Let's compile, and we can see no warnings, no errors. Okay, so now the next step would be to check the inputs. So we can go up again to the OnInit function, and here after the set inputs, now we can write a comment, check inputs, check inputs, and I will also use a custom function for this because I like to keep the code here in these predefined event handler functions nice and short. So we will use a custom function, check inputs, and this time the function will be of type Boolean. So we have a return type of true or false. And if this function returns false, we can directly check here with a if statement. So if this function returns false, we also want to return false for this OnInit function. So we can write return init parameters incorrect, and the EA will not start. Okay, so now let's go down to the custom function section and write this check inputs function here. So here after the set inputs, we can write bool of, for the type of the function, check inputs, no parameters. Let's open up the body, close it again. And here in the end, of course, we have to return true or false. So we want to return true in the end. And now we should be able to compile. Yeah, without any warnings and errors. Okay, so now we can just write a if statement for every input. So if we start with the magic number, if the magic number is below or equal to 0, then of course we don't want to start the EA. So we can just write a message for the user using the alert function here. Maybe we can also use the message box. No, but I think this will not show up in the visual test. So we will go with the alert function, and let's just write something like wrong input, magic number below or equal to 0. And of course, we also want to return false for this check inputs function here. Okay, now we can use this if statement to check for the next input. And this will be, I think, the lot size. So input lots should not be below or equal to 0. So again, wrong input. Lots below or equal to 0. Return false. Okay, next one, stop loss, take profit. So our input stop loss here can be 0. So we just want to make sure that it's not below 0. So wrong input, stop loss below 0. And also for the take profit, input take profit also can be 0. So just if take profit is below 0, we want to return false. And we also have to check the conditions array, but I have to think about this for a little bit. So we will do this later, but let's just add a comment here so we don't forget about this. Check conditions. And I always add 3 plus signs here in order to just mark this line here. So we have to edit this before the EA is finished. Yeah, so let's just compile. And we can see no warnings, no errors. So that's it for now for the check inputs function. Okay, so let's go back up to the OnInit function again. And let's see if we need to add anything else here. So we set the inputs, we check the inputs. And what we also want to do here is to set the magic number to our trade object. So set magic number. So our trade object is called trade. And we can just write dot set expert magic number, and here we will use our input magic number. We just need to do this to search for our positions when we want to close positions or have a trading stop loss. Okay, so let's compile again, and I think that's it for the OnInit here for now. For the next step, I want to copy and paste a few functions from a old EA. So I will just open up the Dungeon Channel EA. This is also a EA we coded here on this channel. And I just want to copy 3 functions, which is the isNewBar function, count open positions function, and the normalize price function. I will explain these functions a little bit, and you can just pause the video and code the functions for yourself if you have not coded the Dungeon Channel EA. Of course, if you have the Dungeon Channel EA code already, you can also copy and paste the functions. So I will just paste them here after the check input function. All the way at the end. So yeah, the isNewBar function, we will use this function to just check if the current tick is a bar open tick. And you can pause the video and code this function for yourself. The next function here is the count open positions function. We will use this function, of course, to count the open positions and to decide if we can open a new trade. And the last function here is the normalize price function. We will use this function to normalize the price of the stop loss and the take profit before we open a trade. Okay, so now we have these 3 functions here, and I will compile, and there should be no warning and no error here. Okay, so now we can go to the onTick function, because for the OnInit function, for now we don't have to code anything. We will just leave it empty here. So now we can focus on the onTick function here. Okay, so the first operation we want to do here in the onTick is to check if the current tick is a bar open tick. And now we can use our isNewBar function here. So let's just write a comment. Check if current tick is a new bar open tick. And we can just use a if statement here and our isNewBar function. If this function now returns false, we know, okay, it's not a bar open tick. We will just return and we will wait for the next tick. So return, and that's it. That's all we need to do to check for bar open ticks. Next here in the onTick, we want to get the current symbol tick because I like to have the current symbol tick in order to have access to the bid and ask and also the time of the current tick. So let's just also write a comment here. Get current symbol tick. And we can also write an if statement here. And to get the current symbol tick, we will use the predefined function symbol info tick. And here we have to specify our symbol. And we have to pass a variable of mql5 tick type. And of course, we already have this here in our global variable section. We have the current tick of mql5 tick type. And now we can use this here to get the current tick. And if this call here fails, we also want to print out a message for the user. Failed to get current tick. And also we want to return in this case. Okay, so we just return and wait for the next tick. Okay, the next step here we want to do in the onTick is to count the open positions. So here again, we can use our count open positions function. Let's just write a comment here. Positions, and now we have to specify two variables, count by and also count sell. So in these variables, we will get the number of open buy positions and open sell positions at the current time. So let's just also write a if statement here. Count open positions. And now we can use our count buy and our count sell here. If this function again fails, we want to write a message for the user. Maybe just failed to count open positions. And we also return failed to count open positions. Okay, so now we check for a new bar open tick, we get the current tick, and we also count the number of open buy positions and sell positions. So let's compile. We have no warnings, no errors, that's perfect. Okay, so now we can already write an if statement to check if we want to open a buy position at the current tick and also a sell position. So let's write a comment here, check for new buy position. And let's write a simple if statement here. And first of all, the first condition, of course, our count buy variable has to be 0, so no open buy positions at the current time. And yeah, I think that's it for now for the conditions. Of course, later we will add here the condition where we check for our condition array. Yeah, but for now, let's just open up a buy position whenever there's no position open. So of course here, first of all, we want to calculate the stop loss and take profit. So calculate stop loss and take profit. So we will declare a variable called SL here, and we set this if our input stop loss here is 0, then we set this variable to 0, and else we want to calculate the stop loss value, which is the current tick. For a buy position, it's the bid price that's relevant for the stop loss and take profit calculation. So current tick bid plus, or of course minus input stop loss and multiplied by the point value of the symbol, because our input stop loss here is in points. Okay, now we can do the same for the take profit. So double take profit. Now, if the input take profit is 0, we just want to set this take profit variable here to 0. And else we want to calculate the take profit. So current tick bid. This time, of course, we add our input take profit value here and also multiply by points. Okay, now we can use our normalized price function. So yeah, maybe just write a if statement here. So normalize price, and here we can pass our stop loss value. And if this function here fails, we also want to return. And we do the same for the take profit. Okay, and now we can use the stop loss and take profit when we want to open a new position. So let's do this. So we can use the trade object here, dot position open. And here we need to specify the symbol. So this is our current symbol, order type buy. The volume will be just our input lots. The price, of course, is the current tick dot ask price for a buy position, and our stop loss, our take profit, and yeah, a comment for this order or for this position. So let's just write candle pattern EA. Okay, of course you can write anything you want here in this comment. So I think that's it for the buy position. And now I will just copy this, or first of all, let's compile. So we make sure we have no mistake here. And now I will just copy this section and paste it down here. And we will do the same for the sell position. So check for a new sell position. So our count sell position has to be 0. And calculate stop loss and take profit. Now double stop loss, input stop loss is equal to 0. We want to set this to 0 again. This is the same. But here, of course, we want to use the ask price, current tick.ask. And we want to add our stop loss to this price here. And here for the stop take profit, also the ask price. And this time we want to subtract our input value from this ask price here, multiply by points, and we normalize stop loss and take profit, and we open a trade. So here, of course, order type sell. Again, our lot size, the current tick bid this time, stop loss, take profit, and a comment. Okay, so let's compile. And now we can already test if our EA will open positions. Okay, so let's switch to MetaTrader and let's do a simple visual test here. So select your EA. I will use the 5-minute time frame, open price only mode, and make sure to check the visual mode here. And for the inputs, I will just use a stop loss of 200 points and take profit of 300 points. And of course, the conditions are now not relevant. I just want to see the stop loss and take profit logic working. Yeah, we have buy and sell position open right now. Let's see the distance for the take profit here. Yeah, it's 300 points. Distance for the stop loss for the sell position, yeah, around 200 points. That's fine. And we can see the same here. Take profit for the sell position and stop loss for the buy position. So we can see the stop loss and take profit calculation works correctly. And yeah, now we can continue with the next step. And I also want to encourage you to also do these kind of tests, to just test a specific section of your code and not just code everything and in the end do one simple test, because then you could end up with a lot of mistakes. And if you test during your coding process, and then you can find errors much faster and you can fix them. Okay, so in the next part, we will write the function to check for the conditions. This will be very interesting. And yeah, later, of course, we will also add a panel to this EA. And we will do a lot of testing with this EA to see if we find a good strategy. Okay, if you don't want to miss that, subscribe and also let me know what you think about using Visual Studio Code, or if you are interested in a video how to use Visual Studio Code for your mql5 programs. And yeah, if this video was helpful, make sure to like the video so you can sleep well. And yeah, if you have any other questions, write a comment, and I will see you in one of the next videos. Bye bye.